Blessings, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to Sunday Night Alive. This is your one opportunity, one of many opportunities, I'm sure, but it certainly is your Sunday night at 6 p.m. opportunity to pause in your busyness of your weekend, to sit and prepare for the upcoming week, and to allow your mind and your attention to go to some spiritual ideas designed to improve, enhance, exemplify, amplify, and magnify your magnificent life. Tonight, we're going to talk about work. We don't talk about our creativity and self-expression in regards to our work very much, but it's a very interesting thing because we all work. Everyone must, um, well, I guess we need money to live in these bodies and to navigate this earth plane. Yes, we need money. So therefore we must have some compensation for our perfect and wonderful self-expression. So we're going to talk about that a little bit tonight through the lens of Eric Butterworth and Alan Cohen, both of whom I love and have been inspired by this week. So if you're here with me, please take a moment to say hello through the comments and chats. I'm streaming to you live from North Fort Myers, Florida. My name is Reverend Denise Schubert. I am the founder and director of A Life of Spiritual Power. I am currently an independent minister, not ministering to a church, but ministering to the world through this platform, and happy to do so. Loving it, actually. Very inspired to be with you every week and grateful for the technology that we are able to do so with such ease and grace. I'm going to be in South Africa from October 23rd through April. Really, I do come back for a few weeks in February, but I will be streaming to you live from South Africa. So how good is that? The technology that we can stay connected, always be connected, never disconnected, which is kind of how life is, right? Even though we may think we're disconnected, we're not really. Actually, on this, I don't know if everyone can see the comments, but I have two very dear friends from Northwest Arkansas that I've been connected to for a very long time, all through technology for the most part. And it's glorious, right? Yeah, glorious. All right, before we dive in, let me take a moment to bestow a blessing upon us all. Those of you who are with me live tonight and those of you who are tuning in sometime after the fact. It doesn't matter. So unless you're driving, take a moment with me to turn within. A moment with me to pause in the moment of this day to remember that there is more to us than the world around us. There's more to us than what we're moving through on a temporary basis in this very moment. That there is more to us than the sum of our past and our human incarnation. That we are infinite beings connected to the infinite being, by whatever name you want to call this infinite intelligence, beauty, and wisdom that must be here, not because of any leap of faith, but because there's so much here that we did not do, yet it's done. So that the presence of this intelligence in my mind and my heart is irrefutable. And so it is from that place of connecting to each other in this awareness that there's only one of us here, one heart, one mind, one being, and that we are never apart or separated from each other or the infinite. And so I bless tonight, calling it good, knowing that it unfolds in perfection, that I allow the Holy Spirit to use me and to infuse you, and that it is just a good night. It's a good 30 minutes. And so we let this be, and so it is. Amen. Indeed, let's let it be a good 30 minutes. So, I have been kind of in uh, Eric Butterworth land. I did a talk today at the Unity Church in Bonita Springs. It was wonderful, and where we were talking actually about from his little book called Celebrate Yourself. But I found this beautiful work that beautiful writing he did about work, which I just was inspired by because it, the fact is, well, let's back up. Let's back up for 1 minute. Um, so working is something most of us do all of our lives. I don't know about you, but I started working with my dad when I was 14. I would work with him every summer for a dollar. I'm trying to think of what I made. I think $1.65 an hour. And what I did for him is he worked for a um, a gun store. So I don't know. Don't ask me. I wasn't. Anyway, he worked for Whistler Western Arms. It was a gun store. And every year they put out this 200-page catalog of all of their products. And every summer I would come together and put together this catalog by hand, all these pieces of paper, for which I was paid $1.65 an hour. And from there, of course, our careers, my career just moved, right? I did that, and then I worked at a pizza parlor, and then after high school, I went to work for British Motor Cars as a secretary, and then I don't know, I've had many renditions, many opportunities in life in which I'm earning money, as have you, because we have to earn money, and most of us don't really think of work in the beginning as a spiritual activity. Well, of course, we don't think about ourselves as spiritual activity either. So oftentimes our work feels to a lot of people like a necessary evil, right? Like something we have to do because we have to earn money. And oftentimes we find ourselves doing work and in careers that really don't inspire us or that we don't love, but we still do because we need money. So it's an interesting idea to contemplate our creative self-expression in the area of our work from a spiritual perspective and what that might mean. Uh, because many people, uh, it's, I remember my dad even, I remember him talking to me one time. I think he was probably drinking because he would never talk to me normally like this, but so he worked for Whistler Western Arms his entire adult career. He retired from there, and I remember him one time sharing that what he really wanted to do was to be a poet or a pirate and to sail the seas, right? And to contemplate the stars. And I thought, wow, isn't that interesting that a whole life could be spent doing something that you can't fit into that longing or that desire, and how sad that must be, and how sad that must be to have that song unsung, right? To have that dream unrealized. Um, so I think it's worthy of 30 minutes to talk about the work that we're doing and a way to think about it. Because, Eric Butterworth said, there's only one way in which one can achieve their Mount Olympus. Mount Olympus, being the coup de grace of your life, like the height, like the I have arrived moment. And he said that is by bringing about a radical and permanent change for the better in their own consciousness. There is no other way. So this is what we teach every week, right? Everywhere I go. I mean, I have been, now I live this, so I'm no longer teaching myself because I'm very clear about how this works and I'm very clear about my role in my ability to manifest and demonstrate good in my life. But I've been teaching it for almost 25 years, that if you want something to change on the outside, you have to change it on the inside. You have to change. You have to become different. You have to expand your consciousness. You have to open your consciousness. You have to think new thoughts. These are not new ideas. Jesus said it, the Buddha said it, Ernest Holmes said it, Charles Fillmore said it. Everything external to us is a reflection of the internal of us. Yeah, God, I have it in here. But Eric Butterworth in another writing said, we are environed by ourselves for now and always. You can't get away from you. So we're always about shifting consciousness. So tonight, begin to think about who you are in in regards to your work. Who are you in regards to your the way that you spend your time and the how you feel about the way you spend your time in the area of your employment. Um, Butterworth also said, he said, think of your work not as a place to make a living, but as an opportunity to make a life. Now, this is quite true, is it not? Because while we're working, and hopefully, I'm hoping that you're in jobs. Actually, many of us are retired now. Many people who would hang around my circle are retired. Not everyone, but a lot of people. So that's no longer of a concern, really, like how will I work? But um, in regards to your work, does it, does it, it's something we have to do day in and day out in order to put food on the table for our families, in order to travel, in order to eat, pay our rent. And while we're doing that, life is happening. And one of the things that happens to us is we don't wake up soon enough. So we end up kind of sleepwalking through our whole lives, doing what we're doing by kind of like a rut, like being in a rut, rather than it being an expression of our incarnation, an expression of our life. Charles Fillmore said life should be a journey in jubilance. Jubilance meaning joy, outrageous happiness and expression. Not this is a kind of a rare. This is kind of a rarity, really, for the majority of human beings. That it is a kind of a drudgery, kind of a getting up and going to a place of employment to get through the day so that we can go home and do what we really want to do. And it would be wonderful, would it not, to shift that consciousness, to actually be doing, to actually either think about what we're doing differently or to do something different than we're doing. So Eric Butterworth also said, think of your work not as a place to make a living, but as an opportunity to make, oh, I think I already did this, to make a life. So he says, no matter what your job or chosen career, your true business is the business of releasing your inner splendor. So I love this idea because it doesn't really matter. In truth, it doesn't really matter what you're doing, though to the ego, it does, right? To the ego and to the personality, to the way of the world, it does matter because, I mean, we have ways of describing work. We have ways of thinking about work. So we have white collar workers and blue collar workers. We have doctors and janitors. We have presidents. Like, do you realize that for the majority of human beings, we get to 65 or somewhere around there, and we feel and believe that it's time for us to retire because we're no longer perceived as no longer um, really capable or in our prime to do the work we're doing. So there's this thing called retirement. But do you realize that we have a president and a presidential candidate that 80-year-old men can run the country, but a 73-year-old woman can't be a secretary because it's past retirement age. Do you understand? Like there's this very weird thing that goes on in our culture and in race consciousness about aging and about work. So if we took age out of it, which really we should take age out of it because there is no age, there's no time in life where you cannot be a beneficial presence on the planet. You cannot be in service to someone. You cannot release your inner splendor. Now, could you imagine, and we all have met people like this, store clerks, gas station attendants, doctors, teachers, nurses, writers, people who, through their beingness, through their work, that they lift you, that they are releasing something so joyful and so beautiful, right? That you can tell that they love what they're doing and that they love you, that they love humanity. Is that how it is for you in your job? You know, do you feel like you are releasing your inner splendor? So, um, Alan Cohen says to us tonight, from this moment on, you have a new profession, a minister of God to all the world. So he would say, your business is no longer to be a business person or a teacher or to have been well trained. Your job, your business is to sharing the light with people, with others. Now, there could be the question could come up that what do you do? So listen, I'm not a stranger to this conversation, nor am I not sympathetic to the value of our 401k and our longevity and health insurance. All of these things are very important to living on planet Earth. They are. And when I was 40, when I was 50 actually, so I uh, got on my spiritual path at around 45. Um, all of you, all of you who know me know this, and I was in a very good job. I was working for. I worked at Loyola Marymount University and then went to a multi-office law firm as their technology executive and in Los Angeles. So I made a fair amount of money. I had good bonuses at the end of the year. The work I did was fun. It was good. Was it my inner splendor? No, not so much. But when I tipped my toe into spiritual growth, uh, you know, when I got called, like you know, like the caterpillar gets called to go into the cocoon. When I got called into a spiritual experience for myself, I discovered my inner splendor wanted to be of service to human beings in a different way than being in service to the law firm. So there was a moment when I graduated from when I got my master's degree and I got licensed and ordained to be a minister. There was a moment where I wanted to do it full time, which meant I had to walk away from this, what anyone would have said was a very lucrative long-term career that I should have stuck with. Like my mother would have definitely said that, and my sisters would have definitely said that. So, but the truth is that I was called and I was moved, and I resigned from that position, went into full-time ministry, and that's been 25 years, and I am, as you can see, I'm not dying of starvation, nor do I not have a beautiful home. So uh, remember remember our original thought, there's only one way by which one can achieve their Mount Olympus, that is by bringing about a radical and permanent change for the better in their own consciousness. There's no other way. So the invitation really tonight is to just simply look to see if you need a change or shift in consciousness regarding how you spend your time and earn money. Now, uh, sorry, I'm reading my own notes here. Um, if you, now, as with everything else, the shift in consciousness is not an ego related thing. So it's an awareness thing. So first we start by recognizing that we are not merely and we're not merely a bag of bones here. We're not merely a product of our upbringing. We're not merely a product of our culture or society or the year we were born. That you are an infinite being. You are spiritual. You are of spirit. And that as such, I would say, core idea is you chose to incarnate here. You chose to come. It wasn't an accident. It wasn't, you know, to think of this world as purely material or physical is a little insane in my view because it's magical and mysterious, as is your arriving, right? That so I believe that there's some soul intention behind your being here, and that if you are here and you chose to be here and you're still here, it's because you have light to bring. You have love to bring. You have inspiration to bring. You have some gift to give to somebody, someone, or somebody's somewhere. So life is not meant to be a drudgery, like just get through your crazy neurotic family. Just get through high school. Just get, you know, do what your mama wants and go to college, get married, have some kids with picket fence and, you know, and start saving for your retirement. If life were about that, we might as well all, I would just say, take me now, right? That it's way more metaphysical than that, way more esoteric than that, way more deep and meaningful than that. So, so we start there. There is within you a calling to minister. I don't care who you are. You have a calling and a gift that ministers to people, whether it's your sense of humor, whether it's your writing skills, whether it's your ability to grow plants, whether you take amazing photographs, whether you make people laugh, whether there is something you do uniquely as you that you could get compensated for and are would be compensated for if you release the inner splendor. It was Joseph Campbell who said, do what you love. Do what you love and the money will follow. Follow your bliss and the money will follow. Do what you are here to do and you will be supported and maintained and sustained by an infinite universe that is for you and not against you, that is conspiring for your good. Alan Cohen said, be an inspiration to the world and the world be an inspiration to you. So on a practical level, I would say that to just begin to think about and become aware of where you are on the journey of your creative self-expression as it has to do with giving your gifts and talents to the world and being compensated for them. So it could be that you're in a job. So it could be that you're in a job that you cannot leave for whatever reason. That you've been in it, you're good at it. Remember, you may not be aware. I should do this work one week. The work of the Big Leap. So Gay Hendricks wrote a book called The Big Leap, and in this book he talked about our zones, being in our zones of creative self-expression, and he categorized them as the zone of incompetence, the zone of competence, the zone of excellence, and the zone of genius. And I loved this book because in my career, I was in my zone of genius. I mean, my zone of excellence. Right? I was very good at it, and still I'm very good at it, and I got paid for it. People liked that I did it, and they wanted me to do it more and forever. But my zone of genius really was ministry. It really was this for me. And it's where we want to be, right? Where you want to be is in doing work that makes you come alive. So genius is, by the way, an adjective I add, not that the world. So you might not think I'm a genius at all. You might think I was like I'm full of, caca, but it's irrelevant. The zone of genius is a personal thing. It's a soul thing. So so you want to really, but if you're in a job, if you're in a line of work that is not your zone of genius, but is your zone of excellence, or even if it's not your zone of excellence, it doesn't really matter. Just become aware of where you are, because remember, we have to go back to the beginning, which is if you want something on the outer to change, the inner must change first. So without your awareness, without your contemplation, without your meditation, without your clarity of intention, your desires, your dreams, your longings, your yearnings, your unfettered self-expression, nothing can change. Nothing will change. Everything will, that if nothing changes in you, nothing will change outside of you either. So just be aware, aware you might need to stretch to either bring light to where you are. Like, how can you be in the job you have better, more loving, more of a beneficial presence, more of how can you transform where you are. Now, this was also Cohen, who Alan Cohen said, if you keep yourself in tune with the creative flow, either the job will change or you will be moved to another job. And it's because God, there's one of the I don't know where it is, but it's because in my words, the universe is always conspiring for your greater good. And how it does that is by knowing your heart, by knowing what you want, by knowing by your getting in alignment with what he calls the creative flow. But that takes attention, and it takes commitment, and it takes time. So in summary for tonight, in the area of your work, your creative self-expression in the world, most of us will work at least 50 years at doing something to make money, right? Because it's part of what it means. If you didn't live here, if you were an Aboriginal living in the bush of Australia, your work may not be for money. You may be bartering, kangaroo skins or something, but all people will be doing something for their sustenance for 50 years or more. So life's too short, and it's not life's intention that you not express that which is within you, which needs to be expressed. From the Dead Sea Scrolls, there was I'm going to paraphrase this because I don't have it in front of me, but where it says, if you release what is within you, it will save you. If you do not release what is within you, it will destroy you. And what that is talking about is releasing your inner splendor to find I would call, my unity friends would call, is the Christ presence within you, that seed of divinity within you, and to recognize it as the most real thing about you, not your ego, not your money, not your house. There's a beautiful quote I did by Rumi today, which is, Rumi's a 13th century Persian poet, and he said, you know the value of every piece of merchandise, but not the value of your own soul. He says it's all foolishness. So don't be sucked into thinking that capitalism and materialism and all of this is the purpose of our lives. It is not. The purpose of your life, your business is sharing the light. Yes. All right. So just be aware, just in your heart of hearts, see if you can bring more to what you're doing, and while simultaneously moving in the direction of the calling of your heart, which, by the way, can start as a hobby. I mean, you could be a maintenance worker at a plant, but really want to write poetry, so you just write some poetry. Or you could be a dentist who wants to be a photographer, just buy a camera and go do some photography, right? Or you may be a photographer who really wants to be a dentist. You can start going to dental school. So This is a heart thing and an intention thing. So if you give yourself permission, the universe will rush in and show you exactly what to do. It's called grace. All right, so I'm going to pray with you, but thank you for joining me on Sunday Night Alive. I will be with you next week. I'll be speaking at the Unity Church in Bonita Springs next week. If you're in the area in Florida, please come out and see us at 10 a.m. And if you want to follow me or read some written blogs, you can go to my website, deniseschubert.com. I am an amateur photographer, so there are some beautiful photographs there. If you want to schedule a counseling session with me, or you want to offer me gifts, tithes, or love offerings for my ministry, you can also do that on my website, or you can do it at revdschubert@gmail.com through PayPal, Venmo, or Zelle. So thank you always for joining me. Thank you always for joining me. So let's just take a moment to end this evening in prayer. We end our time in prayer the same way we begin our time in prayer, because it spiritualizes what seems to be mundane, and it calls into our awareness a kind of sacred activity in our lives, because our lives are sacred. You are so sacred and so holy and so magnificent, regardless of what you think or what anybody else thinks. It's the truth about you. And so when we turn within to pray, we are aligning ourselves with the thoughts of God. We're aligning ourselves not with what our ego says about us, but with what God says about us. And God says, "You are my beloved, in whom I am well pleased." So it is from that place of recognizing our oneness with the infinite intelligence that governs this universe, the master employer for whom we work, with whom we work. And our job description, as far as God is concerned, is to be loving and to be kind and to be compassionate, to be happy, to be jubilant, to be full of zeal and enthusiasm. That's our job. Our job is to love life, love God with all our heart, and to love our fellows. That's our job. And so whether you are a dentist, whether you are a teacher or a nurse or a minister or whatever it is that you are, do it with love, do it with impeccability, do it with commitment, do it with all your heart, and continue to fan the wave, fan the desires of your longings and the desires of your calling, and all will be worked out on your behalf, I promise you. And so I am so grateful for the opportunity to come together tonight, to pause for a moment to speak words of upliftment and expansion, to recognize that it all begins and ends with us and our consciousness, and that is one thing we can change. And so Ernest Holmes said, "Change your thinking, change your life," and he wasn't kidding. And I'm so grateful for that. And so we let this be tonight, and so it is. Amen. All right, beloveds, have a wonderful rest of your Sunday evening and a wonderful week. If I don't see you somewhere in between, I will see you next Sunday on Sunday Night Alive. Peace and blessings.